vlog. I'm gonna hold you. I was gonna prop you. Krista and I are in the car. I'm being dropped off to go to the book sale. So, dear gremlins, this is technically a reading vlog, but I won't be doing any reading until tomorrow. Today is a very busy day and you're coming along for the start of the vlog. And the first thing we did was we got gas. So I got pumpkin spice coffee at Stewart's and I'm wearing my cute cookie shirt. And I'm taking a sip of this coffee. I'm headed to our library's annual book sale that starts today. So it's over there. I am bringing you with me and I'll try and film a little, but it looks like it's going to be insane. There's so many people here. I have a bag, I have you, and I have my phone, and I have cash. So that's the key things. Krista's gonna go home and take the dogs out because once I am done, we have to head to Syracuse, to Destiny USA Mall. And I may try and convince her to go to Barnes & Noble briefly because we should have time before the reservation that we have. So yes, it's a very busy day because we have all of that, and unless the sky opens up, which it looks very ominous, I have the haunt tonight. So super busy day. But this is the start of the vlog, gremlins. Be ready for lots of things, and then a book that we'll talk about later. So see you in the library, gremlins. Hello, gremlins. You got to see the front of the library, and then I could not film. It was very busy, like wildly busy. There were people everywhere, and I did not feel comfortable taking out the camera because there was no way I wasn't gonna accidentally film someone. And they do have a rule, like you can film in the library, because they have people like come do stuff, but they're like, you can't film patrons. And so I was like, I'm not even gonna try. Very, very busy. I mostly got what they dedicated as YA or children's books, though like they were all mixed up. Like there were YA books with the children's and children's books in the YA, so I don't know who was differentiating them. Not that it mattered, the pricing was the same. So I spent $5.25 on basically a bag of books. I'm not gonna show you them in the car. I got 2 like adult mystery books, and then all the rest of it is like random kids books that I have read at some point, or like kid series that I liked and they had a book. So I just grabbed very random things. But we are headed to the Destiny USA Mall for our melting pot reservation, and they're in their soft open? Or is this official? Okay, they're officially open. Oh, okay. So they're brand new to the mall in Syracuse, so we are going. We have gone.
Opening day, baby.
Yes. Krista worked very hard to get reservations for today. And we have gone on a number of melting pot dates. So we've been trying to go, I feel like for almost 2 years, but the closest one is in Buffalo, and we haven't been able to like figure out how dog care would work, if we could get a hotel that the dogs could, like it's just been a whole thing. But now there's one at Destiny USA, which is only an hour from us, so we don't need dog care. So, well, at least because we're eating, we don't need dog care. If we were doing something besides like getting food, then we would. And we'll hopefully have time to swing into Barnes & Noble, just so we can look around and walk a little bit before we eat. Yeah, so we're just gonna drive. I might show you some fall foliage, and at some point.
You're going to a good state.
Oh yeah, so I'm just gonna turn you. Behold my beautiful wife. She's driving this car and foliage. Alright, you've seen pretty foliage, and now it's gonna turn into road signs. So I will talk to you later, gremlins. Probably either Melting Pot or Barnes & Noble, whichever we get to first. Ooh, yes it is. Look out that window. Ta-da! Alright, talk to you later, gremlins. Moho. And my beautiful wife. And Moho. And bye. Hello, gremlins. We are headed home. My hair is doing its own weird thing. We were at Melting Pot for 2.5 hours, which is not typically how long you would be at a melting pot. It was their opening weekend, so this was their first like ever day being opened officially, outside of their like soft open where like only friends of people got to come. And our person, while very sweet, was very like lost or overwhelmed. We like got, so we did the 4-course because you get a salad. We decided to do that because we haven't been in a really long time, and the last time we went was
years ago.
Was it our wedding weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time we went was the day after we got married, which means it's been almost 6 years since we've eaten at a melting pot. Yeah, so we decided to do the like big 4-course thing, and it took a while for our cheese to come out, but like they did say like they were having some issues in the back, like getting stuff situated to a different table. So like we got our cheese, we finished our cheese, and then our cheese sat for like 20 minutes, just like an empty thing. And then she came and got our stuff from that one, and then we were just sitting with like no word about what was going on, because we like ordered everything at once, because you have to tell them like the whole 4-course. And then suddenly our salad did show up very randomly, and then we sat for a really long time again, and then a table that ordered after us got their entree pot, then our entree pot came out, and then eventually like our food came out for the entree, which was fine. But then we were like sitting with just like empty entree stuff for a half hour.
Yeah.
We were just sitting. We had no idea what was going on. And at a certain point, a manager noticed we were just like sitting, and like someone came and bussed the table for us, like asked if we needed anything, and then took all of our like dirty dishes and stuff. And then a manager actually asked someone to like find out why we were still at our table, because we were just sitting there with our like heat source on. And then they finally realized we were waiting for dessert, and getting our dessert took a really long time. And then we ate, and then they brought out our bill, and our bill was wrong. And I should have just paid, because the bill was wrong,
right?
In that they comped our meal, and that's not what they were supposed to do. And I was just like,
Yeah, we should have just paid.
I should have just paid them the $25. But like the food was very good. Like it was good. All of our choices were good. We did Alpine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We did Alpine for our cheese. We just got Caesar salads without pine nuts because Krista has a tree nut allergy. We did mojo for the cooking style, and then Land and Sea, and I don't remember what the other one was.
Surf and turf, right?
Was it surf and turf? No, Land and Sea was mine, and that was surf and turf. I don't know what we got.
I chose Land and Sea, and you chose something.
Oh, what?
With the pot stickers.
Yeah, I don't know what I picked. I picked something that had pot stickers and like duck and tuna.
The duck was
the duck was really, really good. So we had that, and we really liked the teriyaki steak. That was really good too. And then eventually we had the original for our chocolate fondue, which is the chocolate and peanut butter. So we did that, but then we were sitting for forever because like I asked for the bill as soon as they put the dessert down, and it still took her until we finished eating, and we had both like gone to the bathroom because we were gonna leave like the mall. And then we finally got it. It was wrong. It took forever for us to figure out what was going on, and then we paid. And then we very briefly went to Barnes & Noble, which you saw. I did pick up a book. I used some of my Haunt Actor funds and got the 5th book in the Laurie Gilmore series, because I am doing a vlog in November. You'll see. It's not for a little bit. So I picked that up, and then now we're on the road back home because we need to get to the dogs and take them out. And then I gotta move the camera so Krista can see. You're very close to my face. Hello. So we gotta take them out and feed them, and then I can rest for like a little tiny bit. And then I have to get ready for the haunt. So very busy day. I'll probably show you my makeup, but I'm not gonna take you to the haunt because it's been like, yesterday was weird and I don't really feel comfortable bringing my camera. So I'll show you what I look like because I have a new shirt. And I'm doing my makeup a little different because I have a different shirt for underneath my costume. So yeah, so I'll show you that. Oh yeah, my flip, so you can see. We'll end this clip with you looking at foliage. All right, gremlins, we're gonna go. We gotta take care of some puppies. I gotta get all my haunt stuff together, and I will see you probably in the bathroom when I am doing my makeup. So talk to you later, gremlins. Hi, gremlins. You can't see my eyes in this room because the lighting is so not great without my window open, but I'm in my Halloween haunt actor makeup that the camera is like, what are you doing? You can kind of see it. It really doesn't know what to do because I'm really dark up top and really not down here. So this is my new shirt. I did a whole like fake blood thing, basically tie-dye with fake blood. Maybe this, oh, there we go. We have light. This is the makeup. I was using the rest of a bottle of this like sticky blood, so I have more on than normal, but it's because I only have one weekend after this left and I have a full bottle of the sticky blood that I haven't opened, and I was like, I'll just finish out this one and then open the new one next week. So this is bruising just up there, blood on my neck. But yeah, so this isn't what I wear if you haven't seen any of that, because I posted it on Instagram. I wear like blue scrubs over this. They're provided by the Haunt. I don't own them, so I don't put them on until I get there. I typically can't get a clip of me in them. I might try and bring you final weekend that I'm working just so you can see the space. Possibly. I have to figure that out. I'm a little leery just because like we get some people who like who come through and I'm like, do I really want my camera in? It's hidden, so I don't know. We'll see. I might bring you along for the last weekend. I just get a little leery because like I can't touch certain things and some things are unsupervised, so I don't know. But yeah, so this is what I look like. It's even creepier in a red lit room. I also have a blanket that I'm in like a doctor's room. He fake blood covered a blanket for me so that I could be warm because I can't wear a jacket or anything. So yeah, this is the look. I am gonna go clean up a bit in the bathroom because I have like makeup and stuff out, get that put away, get my jacket on that I'm gonna wear, but I need some of this to dry a little bit more before I can put on the jacket. And then I'm headed out. So I probably won't talk to you until tomorrow because I will probably get back pretty late. Saturdays we've been running super late, so I'm just assuming it will be super late tonight too. So I will talk to you tomorrow morning. We're not watching the early game, so hopefully we get to sleep in. So I will talk to you sometime tomorrow, dear gremlins, when I'm out of makeup and definitely in pajamas. Good morning, gremlins. My hair is doing wild things. I don't even know. I'm in Beetlejuice pajamas and it is a little after 11. So last night was madness. We started at 7:15, which they always start at 7:15, so there's like a line and like it's dark. And then we ran, yep, I have to put more water in the coffee machine. We ran until midnight. Like we got some 5-minute breaks, and one of the breaks was a little longer, but it was weird because we had some younger kids in the house. Normally it's mostly like adults and like a couple teenagers, but there was like an issue with like staffing, so they added some folks in who are a lot younger, and so like we got a break that was kind of longer but it was like very weird because they all just kind of like hung out in the area that I'm in, and then we went back to work. So it's just strange, but it ran so late. And then Krista came because she was trying to bring me food during one of the breaks, but we only get 5 minutes. And so like she brought me the food, but I couldn't get to her. And then we ran for another hour, and then I texted her and I was like, they just told us we're getting a 5-minute break, which means we're running again. And she was like, what do you mean you're running again? It's like almost midnight. And I was like, yeah, I know. So we ran so late. Everyone was like sounding so hoarse and I was so tired by the end of it. I'm kind of stiff today because of how I like position myself. I know you haven't seen what I look like, but I like am laying on a hospital bed, but I'm like laying on my stomach. And then sometimes I had a brief injury on Friday. I'm fine, but I sometimes would grab like a hospital bed to like sit up, and sometimes I like climb onto the floor. I am not really grabbing the hospital bed because I accidentally got hit by a hammer. Not hard, I'm fine. On the hand, again, I'm fine. It was this hand. It doesn't hurt or anything. It's a little swollen, but it's fine. But so I kind of am like doing like, what is that move in yoga? It's like Cobra, where you like roll up. That's what I wind up doing. And so I rest a lot of weight on like my right arm, and then I kind of like lean on my left, so you can't really see my face. So like my arms are kind of sore, my hips and stuff are sore because I like twist myself kind of funny to fit on the bed. So like I'm a little sore and tired. And I know Krista was really tired because like we got home and I had to take a shower, and then she was like, I'm gonna sleep, you can eat, like keep the TV on, it's fine, I'm going to sleep, because it was very late. So it was like, it was just a long night. And so we're up, I'm making coffee for Krista right now, and then I'll have to come back and make mine after our water filtration system works. So yeah, so I gotta run her stuff up. We're gonna have pumpkin skulls. They were in the last video, but I'll show them to you really quick in this one, so I'll take my camera up with me. But yeah, it was just a very long night, and like it's a lot of repetitive motion, so like you're kind of doing the same thing over and over, and I was just like, I am so tired. Like, oh, I get people paid and I understand, but also like we have a trail that's supposed to run at the same time. This is, I don't know what this is doing. And they left probably an hour to an hour and a half before us, and I'm like, maybe we change the time management or something somehow, because like it just is like odd because like the trail can do more people and it's a different timeline, but we're like having smaller groups of people every minute and a half. So I'm like, we're doing like a lot more physical work than they are. And like, I don't know, just tired. I have one more weekend left. It'll probably be crazy. But I'm not working Halloween weekend at all. I told them I couldn't work that weekend when I signed up. So I will not be working that weekend. But I got this coffee upstairs, so I will show you pumpkin skulls and I'm besties. But I'm making my coffee now. But these are the 2 skulls that are left that I'm putting back in the fridge. We have skulls upstairs. This one is actually pretty good. He just lost like a chip. And then this one got a very Phantom of the Opera sort of facelift. But they came out pretty well. They look skull-esque. They look better when they're like freshly baked, but these are the skulls. They're dark chocolate chips and then like a pumpkin bread mix. But I'm gonna get my coffee, which I have in this fun Death Before Decaf cup. I'm so tired. I'm just kind of like sore. I'm not really tired. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm heading upstairs. We're gonna watch some YouTube, and then it's football time, and I will read. And then I will talk to you about the book that I'm reading in this vlog. So talk to you later, gremlins. Hello, gremlins. I told you I would tell you what the book we're reading in this vlog is, and it is Dracula. I have like really wanted to reread Dracula this year, and I thought it would be fun to do before Halloween if I could. So I'll be reading Dracula. This copy is definitely like a Scholastic Book Fair copy, and I know for a fact I got it at like Half Price Books a million years ago. I've had this for so long. It retailed at $2.99. So I think I paid $1.50 for this book. I have read Dracula before. It's been a really long time, so I thought it'd be fun to reread Dracula officially. I've read some adaptations. But I thought I would reread it and then throw in some like Dracula related movies. At some point I'm going to make Krista watch Bram Stoker's Dracula, the like one everyone knows that has so many people you would recognize in it. Like Keanu Reeves is in it. Who else? Winona Ryder. So many people are in that movie. Gary Oldman plays Dracula. So I even have the soundtrack for that one. But at some point I'm going to make her watch that one. But I think I'll probably rewatch Van Helsing. Probably track down the Demeter movie, Voyage on the Demeter, because I have actually read through that part of the book, because the Voyage on the Demeter section is very small in regards to the whole rest of the book. So I'm about 100 pages in. I'm on chapter 8. And so far we have gotten Jonathan's account of going to meet Count Dracula, where I'm going to warn you there are going to be some spoilers in this. I won't spoil everything, but I am going to talk about a lot of stuff. So Jonathan has met Dracula, and at that point Dracula appears to be an old man. But for those who have not read the book, Dracula is not attractive, whether young or old. He has like hairy hands. He's like a hairy dude with pointy ears. Like, he is indicated as not attractive, and he has horrible smelling breath. That's like a consistent. But he always gets cleaned up a little bit in different versions. Jonathan has met him. He has also met the brides, though he does not know that the brides. And they try and eat him because they're very, very hungry. So we got all of that. Jonathan also kind of recounts the fact that he has seen Dracula climb down a building upside down just by himself. And he's terrified of him at this point. We have met Renfield via Mr. John Seward of the asylum. And Mr. John Seward was Dr. John Seward was introduced to us because he has proposed to Miss Mina Murray, who has been proposed to by 3 different men. And Arthur, and then John Seward, and then I always forget the American's name, and it's not his fault. I just always forget the American's name every dang time. What is his name? Oh, come on, where's that? Quincy! I always forget. I don't know why. And Quincy the American, who is from like the West, like Western America. He speaks like a typical gentleman in society, but when he's talking to Mina, he uses a lot of like Western slang, which is very funny. But she has received 2 proposals, but she is only very dedicated to the, does he even have, he's like a count. She very, very much wants to marry, he's not a count, oh my gosh, like a lord, Arthur. She wants to marry Arthur. She's in love with Arthur. She's not in love with the other 2. But they do appear in the story periodically. Now, the Demeter has crashed, and there was a dead man tied to the wheel, and we have received brief accounts from the log that men died and only one was left, and he was actually dead on the wheel, but the boat made it into London, and that it was carrying some very interesting cargo, which may have included a mysterious man, or dog, one or the other. You'll understand as you go through the book. That's where I am. It's been a very football heavy day, so there's actually more football. So I'm gonna go so Krista can watch that game, and I'm going to eat a pumpkin skull and drink this canned margarita at some point. It's very fun. All right, I'm gonna go. I will talk to you later, gremlins. Hello, gremlins. I am wearing my Salem sweatshirt. I have a Salem coffee mug. This is not themed to Dracula at all, but I just felt like wearing the sweatshirt, and I knew I had a matching cup. So here we are. I'm taking a sip of my coffee. And gremlins, today's gonna be weird. Apparently there's some kind of outage going on that's affecting like a number of things, and it just so happens to also be affecting my job. Like my actual job that I work. But it's not like isolated to us. It's like all over the frickin' place. So who knows how today is going to go. I though do have a Dracula update for you because I did read some after I did that update. So I'm now on chapter 10. And in what I've read so far, again, I did tell you there would be some spoilers. I'm gonna put this down because it's like a hefty little paperback. But in what I've read further, we do get more of Lucy and Mina. So Lucy is living with her mother and Mina is going to visit her. So Mina has gone to visit Lucy. Lucy has a number of proposals, but she is in love specifically with Andrew. So she has selected Andrew of the three men. And for some reason, I had thought, and maybe they play this up in the movie, that she had not chosen like a suitor yet, but she and Andrew are engaged. Like she has accepted his proposal. They will be married, like a date is set. So Mina has come just to stay with her, spend time with her, because they haven't seen each other in a long time, and they are school friends. So my hair is just being bizarre. They have known each other for years. They are very close, and so they're spending a lot of time together. And while they're there, we learn some like folklore about the area, but really the big thing that's come up is that Lucy is sleepwalking, and Lucy has sleepwalked is how you say that, before. And because Lucy is staying, or Mina is staying with Lucy, she's kind of in charge of like keeping her locked in her room, making sure she doesn't sleepwalk, trying to keep her from sleepwalking at all. But the issue is that she does actually begin sleepwalking and getting out of the house. And at a certain point, she winds up at this like bench in the cemetery that she and Mina spend time at. And there's a figure there, and it's frightening, but it disappears. And so Lucy is brought back home by Mina, and Mina believes that she accidentally cut her or clipped her neck with this like large safety pin that she used to attach a big shawl around her because it was cold. So that's what they think it is, but that injury to the neck continues to appear and seems to be getting worse. There are mentions of bats at Lucy's window. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. Oh, we're gonna try to hold it off. Oh gosh. So there's a mention of a bat, and we also get yep, couldn't hold it. We're just gonna keep going. Oh my gosh. Whoo. So there are also mentions of bats in Renfield's chapters. So Renfield at this point in the book has started breaking out of the asylum, and that's what it is called. It is an asylum. He is breaking out and running to the church on the property that we know belongs to Dracula. It was already identified for us, and it is Dracula's property, and Dracula's property appears to be near the asylum and also near Lucy's house. Or at least the house she's staying in at this point. So Renfield keeps running off. He is doing the like eating flies and then feeding the flies to spiders and then feeding the spiders to birds, and then he like asks for a cat at some point. But he's doing all his Renfieldy things, but he gets very agitated and starts running away, and they can't really figure out why he's running away, and he's just acting very erratically, according to John Seward. And conveniently, John Seward is a man who did propose to Lucy, so Lucy is someone he knows of. And she seems to be getting very ill. So she's becoming very anemic. And the problem is that Mina has had to leave because Jonathan has been found. He is at like a church or like an abbey, something. And nuns are taking care of him. And he's kind of like been kind of babbling and acting a bit confused. And they have finally determined who he is because he arrived with nothing. He was just like in his clothes. They had no identifying things, but they did finally determine who he was. And so they've called for Mina. So Mina's like, I have to go. I'm so sorry, but I have to go to Jonathan. So she and Jonathan have married, because the nuns were basically like, you should just get married at this point. So they're married, and Jonathan has kind of said like, things happened to me. I don't want to discuss them. I think they are best left in the past, because it kind of driven him mad, which makes sense. Like, he was locked in a castle. He was attacked by the bards of Dracula, and he's just like, we should not speak of it. And so his journal has been like wrapped and sealed so that no one can read it. And Mina's like, it's fine, we're married now. And so at that point, they're still there. She is still kind of like nursing him back to health with the nuns or the sisters. And we know that while she is away, Lucy is getting worse. So Lucy may have been sleepwalking more. We don't know. She's been trying to keep herself awake, trying not to sleep basically at all. But she seems to be anemic. And they think that's strange because Seward did a blood test and it didn't show signs of anemia. So he has called for Dr. Van Helsing, who he says is like a rare diseases expert. And he and Andrew, the man that Lucy is now engaged to, they're in direct communication. He's like, you told me to do whatever I need to do. I've called him my friend. And Van Helsing thinks everything is odd. And he's like, something is amiss. But he left saying that Lucy seemed okay, just something is odd, and kind of like keep an eye on it. He talks very interestingly. The way his dialogue is written, I'm like, that's a curious way to write all of that. But he had left, and I'm at the point where he had left. Mina seemed fine, according to John. There have been some updates, and now Lucy, oh my gosh. Now Lucy is incredibly ill, and he has written, like, Andrew, you must return immediately. Like, get back here now. And he's also written to Van Helsing to, like, get him back now, because Lucy's health is declining very rapidly. Now, I will say, yes, loud car, that Mina's scenes remind me so much, not Mina, Lucy scenes, oh my gosh, I'm gonna keep doing that, I know I am. Lucy scenes, especially the one where Mina finds her, is what I was trying to say, remind me so much of Carmilla, because in Carmilla there's a lot of talk of like dream, like I saw you in a dream, this happened in a dream. There's discussions of like seeing perhaps Carmilla walking in like a white gown, and Lucy is always in like a white gown in these sleepwalking scenes, and it just feels very Carmilla inspired in some of it, because it's like she's slowly walking, she's in like a dark room, there is a dark figure, but the figure disappears, and there's just like glowing eyes. So all of Lucy's like scenes of sleepwalking into the cemetery, like all of that section did feel very Carmilla inspired in how like she was described, how the monster is described. And then like the two little pinpricks, because that does appear in Carmilla, they do say like there are two little dots, but they're lower, they're not on her neck, but it is, those still occur. So it's been very interesting. I have plenty more to read. It's a very big book, and tonight is a football night. There's actually 2 games tonight, so I have plenty of time to read. But yeah, so that is it. It's very noisy outside because I have my window open. My office just felt stuffy, and it's a very rainy fall day, so I just thought I would like leave my window partially open with the screen in. But I am very much enjoying myself. It's been so long since I read this. Today I'm just gonna like play some YouTube stuff, so long as YouTube keeps working, because apparently that may be affected by whatever outage is going on. It's like one of those like global outage, or at least like US specific outages. Some like thing is down that affects a number of like apps and services at like all over. So who knows? But I'm gonna catch up on, like, have YouTube on probably later this week, maybe even tomorrow. I'll put on like a Dracula connected movie while I work, just for like the fun of it. But yeah, that's it so far. I feel like I've caught you up on everything in the book. Again, I did say there would be spoilers, so sorry if that was unclear and I've just spoiled a bunch of stuff for you. But I am enjoying it so far. I do think the cowboy comes back, Quincy, whose name I normally forget. He's not back yet, but I do believe he arrives to like try and protect Lucy from whatever the heck is going on, because they don't know it's a vampire. But yeah, so I'm enjoying myself. I will update you more at some point. It's gonna be a weird day for me, so who knows how much reading I'm going to get. On top of that, Krista's homesick. She didn't feel very well, and she hasn't called out in a while, and she was just like, I'm really tired and I just don't feel great. So she is home, so I'll be checking on her too. So just gonna be a goofy day, but I'll update you when I can. I'm gonna drink more coffee, and I will talk to you sometime later today, gremlins. Hello, gremlins. I'm sitting on the floor and you're staring at my floor. I thought I would show the books I got at the library sale, and then the book very briefly that I got at Barnes & Noble. So this is the one I picked up at Barnes & Noble, The Gingerbread Bakery. It is the 4th book in the, it's behind me and I'm gonna try and pick it up. Oh, maybe. In the Dream Harbor series. So Krista actually found this for me online because I accidentally bought the 2nd book first from like a local little book thing, and yeah, I grabbed the Cinnamon Bun bookstore, yeah, because I was at a little like mobile bookstore, even though this one is the first book. So I actually sent my copy of this one, the bookstore one, to my sister in Ohio, because I was like, you can probably get the first one at your library or something, but I'm sending you this. They're technically, I think you can read them as standalones too, but she found me this for like, this whole thing was like 28 bucks. I don't know how she found it. She like tracked it down and was like, I don't know, I'm getting it for you. This is the only way I can get you the first book, because they were like republishing the first one, I guess. So there was like a whole issue of like trying to get a hold of it, but I have these four. And then because there was a fifth one out, Krista was like, just get the fifth one if you want it, because I don't want to have to try and track it down closer. So I will be reading all 5 of these in November. It's a vlog that I really want to do, because there are like fall ones, there's a spring one, and there are 2 Christmas ones. So I'm just going to read those in November. Then this is the stuff I got at the book sale. So this is all very random. All the paperbacks were a quarter. So I got R.L. Stine, The Snowman, Nancy Drew, Deadly Intent. This is like older Nancy Drew when she's like in college. They were released in like the 80s, I think. But I grabbed that. Then I had to get this. This is just like a little novelization of Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. I just thought this was adorable, so I got it. Then I got Zombies Don't Play Soccer. Frankenstein Doesn't Start Food Fights. This one is in like incredible condition. You can't really tell, but like the spine isn't even broken. Then they had Mrs. Jeepers is Missing, which is super special #1. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get this. So I got those 3. Then Mallory and the Trouble with Twins, which I have definitely read this before, but I saw it and had to get it because it's like an original Babysitters Club book. Then I got Friends Forever, or it's Babysitters Club Friends Forever, which was like a newer run of the Babysitters Club where they like revisited them when they were older. And this was a Claudia book, so obviously I had to get it because Claudia is my favorite. Then they had Encyclopedia Brown, and I used to read these all the time. They had more, but I just grabbed one because I thought it would be fun. Then, oh my gosh, I was so excited. They had The Mutt and the Iron Muzzle, which is an Adventures of Wishbone book. And if you saw my nostalgia vlog, I read a Wishbone book and I was so excited, but they had it and I was like, I have to get it, I have to get it. Then this was so random. They just had a new adventure, The New Adventures of Mary-Kate and Ashley, The Case of the Rock Star Secret. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know why you have this, but I got it. Actually, I don't know. Are the photos in here? It says you can collect photos. No, someone took the photos out because they opened to where they should be. Then I have never read a Mary Ellen book, but they had the Be Forever release of it. So I got her little book. She is set in the 50s. I knew she was the 50s. I forget what state she's in, like what area she's in, but it was only a quarter, so I thought, why not? Then I got a copy of Matilda, and Kristen was like, we definitely already have this, but it was a quarter, so I just grabbed it. And then these are the only 2 actual like adult books I picked up. So I got Antiques Chop, which is like a, what is it called? It's the... Is it not on the front? Oh, Trash and Treasures Mystery. And I used to read cozy mysteries all the time, and I thought since this was like $1, why not? And then my mom used to get the audiobooks for the Cat Who mysteries all the time. We would listen to them in the car, and I even read some of the books when I was like younger, like not even a teenager. And they had this bind up of 3 of the novels in one book. So The Cat Who Saw Red, The Cat Who Played Brahms, and The Cat Who Played Post Office. And I thought, it's $1 and it's 3 books in one, so I should just get it in case I get the urge to read a Lillian Jackson Braun book. So I have that. But that was it. This stack from the library only cost me $5.25. And then I'm restacking them. And then literally what was so funny to me is I got all of this for $5.25. And then I spent $20.51 to get 1 book at Barnes & Noble. And I was like, oh my goodness gracious. It's just like, it's a new book, so I understand. But I was cracking up and I told Krista, I was like, I spent $25.76 on books. And I was like, and I mean, price point, if you take the amount of books I got and divide it, that's a great price point. But it's just funny to me that a majority of them were a quarter, and then this rogue book over here was like 4 times the price of all of these. But I gotta go. I just wanted to show you everything. I need to eat some food, but I thought I would take a minute and show you everything because I mentioned it and then I never showed you any of the stuff I picked up. A lot of these probably won't get a vlog. I'll just like read them for fun, but I'm just excited. They're all like very cute, fun little reads. So I will have a Dracula update for you at some point, Gremlins. But food. Definitely need food. Hi, Gremlins. I would not normally update you in my office this late. It is like after 10 o'clock, which is why my sleeves are on. So you may not have noticed, you may have noticed, in February, it's in videos, but, I, lost the tip and a half of these 2 fingers in a snowblower accident. And so after 10 o'clock, I normally have to put on my little silicone sleeves. It's for shaping my scar tissue because, as a fun fact, after an amputation, it takes roughly 2 years, they said in my case, for the tissue to fully heal. So you have to wear like a shaper while you're sleeping so that your body can like continue to like heal correctly. That's what they told me. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about my fingers. It just, if you notice they look kind of funny, that's why. I am here to update you on a lot of Dracula. So there's been a lot of football on. Also, my work day was very weird. I did have other projects to work on, but I managed to read a teeny tiny bit during my lunch. And also, there was a new Bob's episode, which was so good. This is unrelated to Dracula. Actually, not exactly related to Dracula. There was a new Bob's episode, and it was Halloween themed, and it involved an occult shop being next door to the burger, like to Bob's Burgers, the restaurant, and it was so fun. But I was very excited for Halloween episode. I was going to include that in here, so nice segue. I was just like thinking through my day, and I was like, oh, let me watch that. But I have read so much. So the last thing I remember telling you about was that Dr. Van Helsing had been sent for because Lucy was doing very poorly. Now, at this point, Mina is with Jonathan, so she is not there. And so the only people, I'm going to put this down, but we're talking about Dracula. The only people there are really Dr. Seward and, at this point, Dr. Van Helsing. And later, Andrew, yes, not Andrew. What am I talking? Arthur. Right? Why did I call him that? Chris has been saying a lot of names, so I'm going to go with, yeah, it's Arthur. Because they call him Art. Do not ask me where Andrew came from. So they are, like, there's so much going on. So Lucy is doing incredibly poorly. She's continuously looking very, very pale, and they can't figure out what's going on. When Van Helsing comes this time, he takes much more extreme measures. He starts putting out garlic. He's doing so many things to, like, to protect Lucy. There are also more blood transfusions, so Dr. Seward winds up giving blood to Lucy. Eventually, Arthur will have to give blood to Lucy. He does it second, I believe. I think it's Dr. Seward, then Arthur. Quincy at one point gives blood to Lucy, and so does Dr. Van Helsing. Arthur, I think, is last. Not Arthur. Quincy is last. I believe. I think that's the order. The order doesn't super matter. Just know that Lucy keeps having to get transfusions because something is very wrong. When she gets the transfusion from Quincy, I believe she's at her lowest, and they have to provide her a great deal of blood, and a number of things are all going on during this. So not only is Lucy getting worse, but there's a wolf on the loose possibly, but then not on the loose, and then her mother sees a wolf, and her mother, who has a weak heart and is in poor health, dies. Which they keep saying, like, she could die at any moment from shock, and it occurs. The shock occurs. But also, she had inadvertently kind of doomed Lucy because Dr. Van Helsing had done a number of things where he had, like, latched the windows, put garlic everywhere, done all of this stuff. Her mother opens a window because she thinks it's stuffy, or she, like, moves the garlic because she thinks it's stuffy. It's a whole thing. And obviously, Dracula gets to Lucy. On top of all of this, at a certain point they mention that all of the, like, the maids of the house get drugged with laudanum. So I'm like, did Dracula come into your home and, like, drug the brandy? Like, I was like, what? Because I mentioned it, and, like, even Lucy knows that it occurred. Like, she's like, mother's laudanum is empty. But, like, so many horrible things happen to Lucy. And then after the death of her mother, she is just, like, distraught. And also much, much worse because she was left completely alone. Now, at this point, she's not really sleepwalking as much. The sleepwalking does kind of come up, but she doesn't seem to be leaving the house, or no one is seeing her leave the house. But she does consistently have the, like, marks on her neck. Now, Van Helsing, at a certain point, is like, ugh, this is very bad. And then the marks suddenly disappear, and Van Helsing is like, it's done, it's bad, it's horrible, everything is awful, there is nothing we can do now. And you're like, what, but they're gone, what are you talking about? And at that point, it means that Lucy has had so much blood taken from her, that she has become, like, she's going to become the undead. And there's this whole sequence where, like, they know she's dying, and they call for Arthur, but, like, Van Helsing won't let Arthur kiss her. He's like, no, don't! And it's, like, and he's like, Arthur probably thinks I'm mad that I wouldn't let him, and, like, all of this stuff. Now, we do get a bit away from Renfield at this point. He had appeared periodically. Oh my gosh, my battery is dying. This is so bad because I have so much to talk about. I'm gonna try and talk fast. Maybe. Oh, so many things. On top of that, Lucy like, does die. There's a funeral, that all happens, but she's obviously gonna come back from the dead, and then we get the Blue Fur Lady plot, where, like, she's obviously back, and she's taking children, but she's not killing them, she's just feeding off of them, and then Van Helsing has to prove that she obviously is a vampire, so that they know that they have to stop her, and, like, it's this whole process of him trying to show everyone that she's obviously a vampire because he knows things, but then on top of that, he meets Mina and Jonathan, because they also know this stuff about Dracula, so he's, like, getting info from them, everyone is coming together, but we do get this, like, horrifically sad moment where they have to kill Lucy, and like they do the staking scene, and it's super traumatic for everyone. Beautifully written, reminded me a lot of Carmilla. They do the rest of the stuff with the garlic in the head, and then now everyone is together at a point, and Lucy's gone, but Mina is collecting everyone's stuff together, so they have it. I'm gonna stop because my battery's about to die. I'm gonna charge it, but I think I got most of everything. Also, Dracula's been seen about, sort of, but he looks different according to Jonathan. All right, that's all I'm gonna do. I have more to read. I only have like 200 pages left. Talk to you later, gremlins.
Coffee, desperately need coffee, and then an update on Dracula from the not very exciting office, but coffee.
Good morning, gremlins. I can talk slightly less fast now because my battery is charged. So I'm wearing my very, I guess vintage at this point, Joe Mummy sweatshirt. This used to be my dad's. Does it have a year? My Warner Brothers one has a year. Oh, no, that can't be right. These are all not the year. This is definitely not right. It just has different copyrights for Peanuts. So the last one on here is 1971, and this is not from 1971. But it's very fun. It has Snoopy as Joe Mummy, so he's Joe Cool but wrapped up. And then Little Woodstock is a vampire. So I have worn my Warner Brothers one. Thinking it was a different video, but I have some of my folks' older sweatshirts. They gave them to me when they cleaned out their closets because I really wanted them. I have another one floating around that I can't seem to find that is like Snoopy in like a cute little spider web, but if I can't find it this year, I will survive. But this is my outfit for today. I'm also wearing some like patterned Halloween-y leggings, and I have coffee in my vampire blood cup because we have Dracula things to talk about that I didn't talk about last night. Also, I read more after that update. It's really the only reason I gave you an update then. So, I actually only have 140 pages left of Dracula, which is shocking to me. I am going to kind of read the next part of this slowly, maybe, because Krista and I can't watch the movie until Thursday, and we have to try and fit it in before the Thursday night football game. I think we can. I know it's a little long, but the only thing I have on Thursday after work is I'm getting my hair trimmed, so that shouldn't take very long, hopefully. I think last time it took like 10 minutes. And then we'll come home and have dinner and watch a movie, is my hope. So I have at least till Thursday. I might even drag this out a little longer because I was hoping to take you to the haunt. Because it's my final haunt, and I was debating, and I kind of wanted to bring you so you could like see me in my scare actor costume and like my little area just for the final weekend. That's also Friday. So I have another book I can throw in that is Dracula themed that I might do. But let's get into the stuff that I made notes about because I had to like speed through a bunch of stuff. Now, when I mentioned that Lucy's section, the like death of Lucy, is very Carmilla-esque, they discuss the fact that she has to return to her coffin, and in Carmilla that's a huge plot point. Like Carmilla has to come back to her coffin for safety and then like and to regain her strength or whatever during the day. And on top of that, Carmilla is depicted as like beautiful in her coffin, and so is Lucy, though they do say Lucy's like beauty as a human has been like distorted, so she looks more frightening and more like deadly. I believe it's like her beauty has become cruel, so she's still beautiful, just not what they remember. I took notes on my phone because it was late. The other thing that I think is interesting, so there's a section where Arthur says that he and Lucy were actually married because he gave her his blood, and this does lead to a scene where Van Helsing is like cracking up, and John Stewart is like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you laughing? Lucy's dead. And he's like, no, it's fine. It's just the stress. But also, like, we all gave her blood, so was Lucy married to all of us? Because they never tell Arthur that Quincy and John and Dr. Van Helsing gave Lucy blood too, so he has no idea. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, that would mean that Dracula, with the turning of Lucy, has 4 brides. And Mina, and Lucy. See, I knew I was going to say Mina out of the blue. I have notes on Mina too. but that also means that Lucy has 4 husbands. So this is what's curious to me. The youngest bride, so Lucy sort of becomes Dracula's undoing in this because the men had no desire. I was going to roll my sleeves up, but they won't go up. Because once Lucy dies, the focus is now we must stop the beast that like took Lucy. So youngest bride is now the reason everyone is going after Dracula. And I was like, and also so like she is kind of the undoing for Dracula, and then like Van Helsing is her technically oldest husband, if we note that blood donation means marriage, and he is the one actively like making the plan to go after Dracula. So I was just like, oh, that's kind of interesting that you would have like he makes a new bride, the new bride then triggers the oldest member of this group to be like, there's a vampire and we have to kill him. So I just thought it was interesting that if they are like the opposite, like Lucy has to die and become the youngest bride, but then Van Helsing, becoming her eldest husband, goes after Dracula. And note, none of them are actually married, but like this exchange of blood being how you become like betrothed is so fun to me. Like I was just like, oh, that does actually make sense though. I will also say that this is like before I think you would worry about blood types, because when they were giving Lucy blood, I was like, oh, well, I'm glad she's not having an adverse reaction, because technically you can't just give someone blood. Like it won't always work. But this is not a new novel. So I was like, oh, she would have been fine. She's fine. It's fiction. So I just thought it was interesting that we had this like setup of like everyone has 4, like Dracula has 4 brides, Lucy technically has 4 husbands. But what is curious, okay, well, curious is a strange word. But we then and this is where I can kind of tell the book is written by a man. Sheridan Le Fanu for Carmilla does a great job, and it does not feel as though a man specifically wrote it. But in this, you can tell a man wrote it, because as soon as Lucy dies, Mina is like, I have so much going on. And like, she's still sad about Lucy, but like, he has her just like, I am very focused on the task at hand. And I'm like, she'd probably be a little more upset, Mr. Stoker. Just a tiny bit. So we do have Mina very like task oriented and not really thinking about her dead best friend. And that's the point where I was like, a man definitely wrote this, because he was like, well, she's married and she's very worried about her husband, so why would she like have additional sad feelings about her already dead friend? And like, she does get upset when she learns what occurred, like what the men had to do to officially end Lucy's life. But I still was like, we have her move on very quickly. But Mina in this is the collector of everyone's stories. So ultimately she does read Jonathan's diary or journal, whatever. And then she and Van Helsing meet, and we learn that she's been typing everything up so that Van Helsing can read it. And then she and Jonathan are the ones who are like compiling everyone's journals. Seward keeps his on a phonograph, like on like wax cylinders. And Mina even writes those down. It's primarily Mina who is doing the collecting of the story. So she's putting everything in order so they can reference it. So she is really the compiler of this book. So like, Bram Stoker is technically the author, but in the sense of the story, it is Mina who put everything together in chronological order and is drafting everything up so they have it. And then Jonathan is doing additional work, but his work now at this point is like finding out things about Dracula's properties, because they need to know what he owns, how he's getting about the city, if he has more than one safe house. But Mina really is like the core of the group. And again, this is the point where I'm like, you can kind of tell a man wrote this book, because we kind of shift from Lucy being the focus of all of the men to Mina being the focus of all of the men, where she's like the thing that's uniting not only their stories, but like they are united around her. They don't want her to be in danger, so they're doing all of the like going out and about, but then leaving her unprotected at the asylum. They don't realize they're leaving her unprotected, but like they want to protect her so much that they leave her completely alone. And on top of that, Renfield does come back and begins acting remarkably sane, but it's because something is going on. And this only happens after he meets Lucy, or Mina, he doesn't meet Lucy. after he meets Mina, he like starts saying he needs to leave. Like something bad is like, he's going to have to do something. He needs to go. He needs to go. You need to let him go. And they're not going to because he keeps having these like odd temperaments. So they can't trust anything that Renfield says. But I was like, he is like very like, let me out of here. I'm going to do something. And also they seemingly like point out that Mina seems very ill, but they're not putting together that it's the same illness in the way that Lucy was ill. Like she's super tired, super pale, is not sleeping well. And I'm like, y'all, you just went through this. And they just like don't think about it because they're so focused on Dracula. There is a super creepy scene with rats where Dracula calls them to him kind of. But Arthur has a dog whistle and some terriers, which is very helpful. But they are just trying to figure out how to stop Dracula at this point and like where he could be. I also do find it interesting that Jonathan does know that Dracula's physical appearance has changed. So Jonathan at some point, sorry, I knew that was gonna happen. I took my medicine this morning. Just sometimes some mornings I still cough a little for a bit of time. But Jonathan has seen Dracula and he's like, that's impossible. How is he like that? And we learn that he looks much younger. He now has like black hair with a little white in it. He is not like an old looking man. So being in London is revitalizing him. So that's interesting. But I think I've recapped everything. At this point, they're still like making their plan, but Mina is definitely being affected and for sure by Dracula. Like there's no one else it could be. So that's where I am with my 140 pages. I'm probably gonna read some at lunch again and we'll see where I go from there. I did expect this to take me longer, but there has been a lot of football. There's been a lot of football. There were 2 games yesterday. I read during both of them and then I fell asleep during the last one. Like the dogs and I just like fell asleep. So yes, but there was a lot of football. Tonight there isn't and Wednesday there isn't, but Krista has court both of those nights. So I'm gonna be reading after work. Also putting like a movie on tonight. I think I'm gonna watch Scooby-Doo in the Ghoul School, but I will catch you up when I have something to catch you up on. I should have something I can tell you possibly at lunch, but I might have to wait until after work. So we will see, but I gotta go. So prepare for more Dracula later, gremlins. Okay. Hi gremlins. I promise the next clip will not be me talking in my office. Now you might still be in my office, but the next like me talking clip will be in a different room because I know you've been in this room a lot, but it's the end of my lunch break and I wanted to talk to you about what I read because I got a little bit farther. I am on chapter 24 now, which is in my copy, page 416, but we've gotten to the point where things have gotten absolutely wild. So Dracula has made a more direct attack on Mina at this point, and so Renfield was acting out because he was unintentionally involved. He is under the thrall of Dracula for sure. And what's interesting to me is the way they talk about him in this. Van Helsing kind of presents the idea that he was able to convince Renfield to do this because he was already, is it like zoophagic? He was already invested in eating animals for their blood. So like he wanted their life source. And then like Dracula was able to take that and like twist it for his own benefit. But I know in other versions, it's that Dracula has like touched Renfield in a way and made him crave the life force of others. So it was just interesting because the way I read it in this, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Was he already like eating bugs? And then Dracula was like, hey, that guy seems great. So I was like, wait. And like, it could be taken either way. I know in a number of adaptations, Renfield does meet Dracula and then Dracula alters his mind. So I know that it happens in at least 2 adaptations. I know in one, it's totally in Dracula Dead and Loving It. Renfield like goes to see Dracula, a la Jonathan Harker, and then becomes his like thrall. But in this, he's like, I couldn't help it. Like he did all this, but then Renfield is very injured because Dracula is pissed because he actually did try and stop him from hurting Mina because he's like, I don't want you to, like he's trying to hold him back, and Dracula's like, no way, you are but a man and I am Dracula. He has come into the asylum, he has come to Mina, and the men actually do see her being like fed upon, but they do also indicate that she has blood in her own mouth. So he did give her blood. Now, I don't think we ever mentioned Lucy being given blood. Like there was never any on her mouth that I remember, but he says something about how like he does kind of mention like a thrall of sorts with Mina, like, I'm doing this, you will come when called, sort of thing. And so that does occur. We also are getting some background on Dracula and who he is, and the men are preparing their attack even greater effort because now Mina is in danger. So they're like, we have to protect you. Now, the scene with Mina being fed upon is very descriptive. And on top of that, there is a scene, and I had completely forgotten this, and I did tell you there would be spoilers. They touch the host, like the body of Christ if you're Catholic, the wafer thing. They touch it to Mina's head and she burns. And I was like, I did not remember that actually happening. And it's because she is also turning, but I swear, like, her turning is much different than Lucy's was, because Lucy is not burned by an artifact that an object that I remember, but she is like very weak. So I thought that was interesting because I was like, well, later when she is a vampire, yes, but I don't remember in her turning that she did. So it almost feels like Dracula is accelerating events, and he does say like he's taking the women they love, and I'm like, oh, did you like ramp up the process because you were like, Mina must be gone? So like that is interesting, but also they're like doing all of this stuff to like make his dirt invalid, because he does need his native dirt, soil, earth. I think it's native earth. It's dirt. They're like messing it up so he can't use his safe houses, which is very interesting. But like they have had an actual, like, they've now met Dracula and he has talked to them. And in the last meeting, he's like yelling at them. And I believe he's walking about during the day. They do mention there are like times of day he can be out that are not night, like at noon and like other time. And I was like, oh, so he can walk during the day, because we've seen him during the day before. But like Van Helsing gives like times and stuff that he can be about and unaffected. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. So I am having a very fun time because these are parts that I don't remember. Also, I know that this is going to come up when we get to Bram Stoker's Dracula. In that, they craft a plot for Mina to explain Dracula's like adamant like desire of her, to like explain it more. In the book, he does not have, he just is like, I'm gonna take your women, is really what it is. And because Stoker has created these plots where the women are central to the men's like devotion, taking that object away he thinks will destroy the men, which ultimately there is grief post Lucy, so it does make sense. So a lot of it is more just like, I will take what you want, like what you what you love, and then you will fall and I will be victorious, is really what he's going with. In the movie, I do remember it's more he like sees something in Mina that he remembers, and then he's trying to like get her back. That is not the actual plot in the book. I just remember that because when I watched the movie as a kid, I was like, why? I did watch this when I was probably too young to be watching it, but I remember when I watched it, I was like, what? That's not true. Which I was very sure that that was strange. But I am very much enjoying it. The writing is very good. I'm also a sucker for an epistolary thing. If you grew up reading Dear America books, which were like these journals and like diaries written by like inspired by true character, like true events characters, they were all like diary entry style, and I was obsessed with those. So obsessed. So like Dracula feels like a thing that if you liked those as a kid, you would love. And I really am just a fan of epistolary. I just really enjoy it as a medium because I think it's just fun to get like different perspectives throughout and like read the diary entry / letter kind of thing. But I'm having a fine time. I am very close to done, which is surprising to me. But I again will say there was a lot of football. So I'm getting through this a lot faster than I thought. I do want to try and finish it tonight because I have another book already pulled out that is Dracula themed. It's a Dracula connected like short story collection. I'll show it to you later once I finish this. But I'm having a wonderful time, and we've hit the point where basically they're just going after Dracula. The entire point is just to save Mina, get Dracula, destroy him. So having a fine time. I'm really enjoying it. I'm breezing through it. I also have not resorted to audio. I debated because there is, okay, I do still have Audible. It is something that is set up, and I am keeping it at this point because there are a couple Audible exclusives that Crystal wants to listen to, and you can't listen to them anywhere else. So like if I don't have Audible, we can't listen to them, and we've actually started one of them. So still using Audible. I know they're not, there's a number of issues with Audible, but as of right now, I still have it because the Audible originals are locked up in there and you cannot listen to them otherwise. And there is an Audible original Dracula, and I debated, but I was like, you are actually so close to the end, there's no point now. So I gotta go, but very much enjoying myself. So glad that I actually got time to do this. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. I will update you when I finish. I will not talk to you until I finish Dracula, and I'll update you in a different room, promise. You may see some clips though if I decide to like play something or listen to something. We'll see. So yeah, I must go, my dear gremlins. Hello gremlins. I promised I would not update you in the office, so we're in the bedroom. It is a little ways after work. I wanted to keep this sweatshirt on for the update, but I am gonna put on some like pajamas because I don't think Krista and I are going anywhere tonight. Hi. Hello goose. There's a goose saying hi to me. I think you can see her tail. But I have finished Dracula. I didn't have a ton left, so I did finish it after work. I was like, oh, I'll finish this up. I will say where I was to the end, some of it is very cool. Like we do get into Mina being able to kind of like channel Dracula, and the wives of Dracula, like the brides, they're not wives, the brides of Dracula make a reappearance, which they would have to because this is like one of those stories where everything gets tied up. I will say though, it does drag a bit once they like start using Mina as like a hypnosis beacon to try and figure out where Dracula has run off to. That all took like a bit too long. Like based on the pacing of the rest of the book, I was like, this is taking a minute, Mr. Stoker. What is happening? Because we're like following the men for a very long time, and then like there is an element where like we're watching Mina get slightly more and more vampiric seeming, and it becomes harder to hypnotize her, and like that's interesting, but we kind of already saw a bit of like Lucy's transformation, so I don't know that we super like needed it at the end. This is a classic, so I'm just saying like I don't know if I personally needed it. And like again, I thought it was just like going a bit slow because we were like waiting for telegrams and like trying to figure out where a boat was, and I was like, could I just get to the part where you find Dracula and the big ending happens? And then like if you're used to like a Dracula death in like an adaptation where like it's a big fight, it's not a big fight. It is a race against dawn, but rather subdued, I feel like. But again, I kind of expected it because like Mina or Lucy is a newer vampire, so it does kind of make sense that there's more life in her. And we do get, what's interesting to me is we get the dispatching of the brides, and it is kind of mimicked in Dracula's. Like I was just like, oh, okay, and then like it's done. We get the death of a key character who is not Dracula, and then we get like a kind of tiny epilogue where Jonathan is saying he's like putting everything together so that their son will be able to read about his mother, and he does actually say that to show how brave that Mina was. So I do think that's an interesting way to close it. Like the story per Jonathan is to show how incredible Mina is, meaning Mina is really our main character in Jonathan's eyes, which does kind of make sense. Van Helsing is doing a lot of the work, but the women of the story are really the key point that like drives everything forward. So Stoker does tie the story very specifically to Lucy and to Mina, and like Mina is introduced earlier, so she's already one of the key focal points, and she is, we are told, the person who originally collected everything together. Jonathan just did some additions after the fact. So I did very much enjoy this. It had been so long since I read this. I was just like, I got to the end and I was like, what is this? Why are we taking so long? Let's get to Dracula, folks. But that just like threw me off a little bit because I was expecting it to be faster. But I was like, oh, this is a little slow right near the end. But I still very much enjoy this book. I think it is very, like, it's a good vampire story. Like, it's a very well written novel. It just, I don't know why the pacing at the end threw me off. I was like, I've been so fast paced, like so many things are happening that I was like, and now we're waiting for a boat. Then we're waiting for a boat. Where's the boat, folks? Where's the boat? But very, very glad that I reread this. It has been so long. I think I read this as a teenager. Like this was a long time ago that I read this, but highly enjoyed it. Had an incredible time. Did not expect to be done with it this soon, which is why I do have another book. So the next book I'll be reading, I have also read this before, is Dracula in London, and it is a short story collection where it's all stories of what Dracula was doing in London over the events, like during the course of events in Dracula, because you don't actually see what Dracula was doing. We are with the hunters of Dracula, so we don't know. And these are all different people's takes on like what Dracula was doing, or perhaps what the brides were doing. I do remember there being a very fun short story of the brides, and there are some liberties taken where characters get to be present more or do more than they would have in the book. So I do remember enjoying this, and it's not very long, so my thought was I would read this slowly, probably slowly, over the course of the next few days. And then, yeah, now, during my workday, I did put on a movie just because I hate working in silence, so I just like throw movies or TV shows and stuff on. And I put on Abigail, which I had not seen and only even thought of because we went to Walmart over the weekend, I think. Yeah, it was over the weekend. And there was an Abigail costume for children, which like makes sense because Abigail is a child vampire. If you don't know, the movie Abigail came out last year, I think. And in it, a group of people like kidnap this young girl named Abigail, who is a ballerina. And they then learn that her father, like she is a vampire and her father is a dangerous man. The reason I thought of it when I saw the costume is like, oh, the working title for that, I believe, was Dracula's daughter. So I decided to put it on. It's fine. It was not a movie I will rewatch in any capacity, but it was fine. There's some silly nonsense. There's just like gratuitous blood and guts for the sake of it. And then the ending really threw me. So this is not particularly a spoiler, but we do get to see Abigail's father. Like he is presented to us so that we like have an idea of who he could be. And it's the man who plays Heck in Imagine Me and You. And yes, you may know him from a number of other things, but Imagine Me and You is a lesbian classic or queer classic film because, I mean, she might be. I don't want to erase the fact that she could be bisexual, but I don't think she is based on her description of her relationship with Heck. But it is a lesbian, queer, classic female-female relationship film. And Heck plays the husband of the newly married woman who winds up realizing she's in love with their florist. But the actor has a name. It's like Matthew Good. He has appeared in a number of things. You probably would recognize him from Discovery of Witches. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head, but he's been in a bajillion things. But every time I see him as Heck. And when he appeared on screen, I was like, I am immediately thrown out of this plot and I'm done. Like the movie was literally ending and I was like, I'm done. It's not your fault, movie. I was like, I needed to not see him. I just needed like blurry white guy blob and we would have been fine. But as soon as I saw his face, I was like, oh, Heck. That literally his name is Heck in the movie. Like H-E-C, like I believe that's how you spell it. And I was like, I cannot buy this for a dang minute now. Like I was just like, I'm done. I'm out. And that was literally the end of the movie. So my takeaway was like, and we're done. Like I was just like, I can't. So I did watch it. I have checked that off the list as a movie because I did want to see it. I just haven't watched it yet. Because I keep forgetting about it. I wasn't really prioritizing it, admittedly. I do still want to rewatch Van Helsing, but I can put that movie on during my workday tomorrow, not even look at the screen, and I will be quoting every moment of the film aloud. So I can put that on at any point. I did look into watching The Voyage of the Demeter. I think that was the name of it. And it has been free on a number of streaming services off and on since it came out. I do remember it's very, very long, and as of right now, it is purchase only, and I don't want to pay for it. I'm terribly sorry. I'm sure it's a lovely film. I won't pay for it outside of the things I'm already paying for. So I was like, I'm not that invested. If you've seen The Voyage of the Demeter and you liked it, let me know, and I will know to prioritize it next time I see it on a streaming service that I already pay for. But I just like, it's to tell you the events of the Demeter beyond what you get in the book. So it's a story of those events, even though you get like a recap-y version of it through the ship's log in Dracula the book. And I know they like show a monstrous-y Dracula because they included him in the trailer, and I was like, what? Well, yes, but also like the whole point is they're not supposed to know their transport. But so I just haven't prioritized it. But if you liked it, let me know. If someone has liked it, I will mark it as high priority for future watches, because again, I have accidentally missed it on like almost every streaming service I own. Well, I don't own. You don't own any of them, but that I pay for. And I just have consistently not watched it. So that's on me. I could have watched it some time ago and I didn't. So yeah, but that is the update for now. I do think after I get changed and stuff, I want to watch Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, which also does involve Dracula's daughter. In this case, her name is Sabella, and she's purple. And she is incredible. I love Sabella. Because in my Hex Girls video, I watched it kind of. I was like decorating, wasn't really paying attention, and then if I remember correctly, Krista got home early and I kind of just like stopped it and I didn't finish the movie. And I've seen it so many times, I was like, oh, I'll watch it later, and I just have not had the time because it is only a physical Scooby-Doo movie. Like, you cannot stream Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School anywhere. You have to watch the DVD. And so I need to like put the DVD in and watch it, and I actually think it's behind you in this DVD case. I'm pretty sure. We have like a big binders of our DVDs to save space, and I think it's in the one that I have on my nightstand right now. Yeah, I think that is it. I am very proud of myself for finishing Dracula so quickly. I thought it would take me more days. I also am excited to read this because it's been a long time since I read this one. But yeah, I am gonna get changed. So I will probably not show you Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. If you want to see a clip of it in any capacity, it is in my Hex Girls vlog, which I'm very proud of, and I wear vampire fangs in. So if you would like a companion video, go watch that. I do vampire things, sort of, I guess. But I'm not going to show you that clip. I think after, like, Krista has court tonight, so I decided to put that on. I may read during it, because again, I've seen it so many times. I love it. I have to watch it every spooky season, but I just haven't officially gotten to it all the way. I may even, like, I may have to fast forward it a bit just to make sure that I get it done. Who knows? But I'm gonna go. I will probably not talk to you until tomorrow morning. Yes, I think that is correct. Because we're not really doing much tonight besides like when Krista gets home, I'm gonna heat up some pizza for dinner. We got like a pizza thing. So I'm gonna heat that up. But beyond that, that's really it. We're just gonna lounge. And then tomorrow, she also has court. So maybe I'll show you what I'm watching tomorrow if I decide to watch anything specific. But I haven't made up my mind about that yet. So yeah, I think that's it for now. Again, I am kind of stretching you a touch because we're watching Bram Stoker's Dracula on Thursday. So the vlog is going till Thursday. I just may not really talk to you much tomorrow unless I have updates on the short story book. And I do kind of want to take you to the haunt to finish the vlog. So I think that's what I've decided. I am a little leery about bringing you, dear camera. Like you're you as in my camera. So yes. Occasionally I just like to pretend that I have little gremlins living inside my camera that I'm talking to in a humorously goofy way. But I'm gonna go. I will talk to you tomorrow when I have coffee, gremlins, and possibly an update on the short story book. But I'm gonna go get changed. Good morning, gremlins. I said I would have coffee, and I do. It is here. It is a Sanderson Sisters potion cup. I just needed, like, I wanted a sturdy mug to hold this morning. Okay, here we are. So, this short story collection, I know, has a story I love in it. I know it does. And it has to be in the second half. Because the stories are fine so far, but they're interesting to me having just read Dracula itself. Now, if I had not just read Dracula, and perhaps had only watched the film, Bram Stoker's Dracula, maybe I'd be having different feelings. I don't know. Also, interestingly to me, this is how Dracula is depicted in the Bram Stoker's Dracula movie. This is what he looks like. I have the Funko figure of this exact outfit. It's in gray and they did it in black, but this is exactly what he looks like. No, I'm not saying that's not what he looks like in the book, but we have not included the hairy palms because you can't see them, which he doesn't have in the Bram Stoker movie. And he normally does still have like gray hair, and there's no gray hair in here. But yeah, this cover is inspired by Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the movie, not entirely the book. No, it's not completely incorrect, but like we've made him a more like in society person because we don't know what Dracula is doing, but like in the book, they like depict him a few times, but like it is typically as like someone moving about, and when he is discussed as wearing like fancy London clothes, it's from a distance, and he does still have gray hair, slightly at least. Also, I feel like he has more of like a mustache. I mean, he has one here, but like I feel like he has more facial hair. But anyway, doesn't matter. This does look a lot like the Bram Stoker's Dracula one played by Gary Oldman. I am about halfway through this, and some are better than others for me. The first one is called To Each His Own Kind, and this is sort of like a starter story. I feel like it is a solid introduction. We're just like meeting Dracula. He has met an American who's in London and then winds up invited to meet the Prince of Wales, which humorously in a later story, the person's like, if he had met the Prince of Wales, gasp! And I'm like, well, he meets him and nothing comes of it, which I do find interesting. But To Each His Own Kind is very much like Dracula kind of setting up that he's going to become important, or he plans to become enmeshed in London society and then like take over what he can. From what I can tell, he's like networking, really. The second one, box number 50, that one follows two children, really. So we follow Carrie and Christopher, who are like orphans, I believe, and they wind up breaking into a house that has one of Dracula's boxes of dirt, like his primary coffin box, and he actually winds up going along with them, pretending to be like the children of the house. It's this very like oddly altruistic moment for him where they also like assist him. Like we get to see Van Helsing, Quincy, Jonathan, Art, and Dr. Seward. They all show up at a certain point in the story. And so Dracula kind of is like, oh, well, because of what you helped me with, because they do wind up helping him in a sense, the two children. He kind of like sets them up in the house, like, oh, you can stay here. It's fine. And I was like, that's okay. Sure. And he like insists he's doing it for cover, which it makes sense, but also in the book, he's a bit more murdery, but it's fine. Like, he does need a cover. Now, Wolf and Hound threw me off, and I feel a bit bad because it is, like, co-written by the editor of the collection. This one follows Sabra, which is a random name to choose. I was like, why did we pick Sabra as a name? Because Sabra is a comic book character, like a Marvel comic book character, also the name of a hummus. And I was like, why? I'm sure there's a reason, I'm sure. But I was just like, this one felt the most like I was dropped into an existing story or like an existing something that was being worked on, because we don't get a lot of backstory. We just get this woman who's like sensing magic, and she's like, I sense blood magic. And then we like learn that she also does blood magic and like is also probably a vampire. That is not specifically stated, but I'm 100% sure she is. She has all of the descriptions of a vampire. But like, she and Dracula kind of fight, and it's like odd, but also we get the idea that there's some kind of like court or council that Dracula is like ignoring or is aware of and doesn't give a crap about. So it was like very oddly, like the end aspect felt like, if you haven't read it, Her Majesty's Royal Coven is about like a secret, it's like an alternate world where witches work for the government, and also like Fort Salem, the show that I really like that was about it is in an alternate reality America, not England, where like witches are trained basically as soldiers. That's what this felt like, and I was like, but we're not getting any info. Like, I know you can do magic and seemingly you are an eternal vampire, but also like I don't know what's happening. Like, it was just odd to me because I couldn't quite follow, except like she was stalking him and we got to like see some events. Like, we got to see everyone going to Mina's tomb, which was interesting, but also I was like, I don't understand why that, like, it just like didn't have a ton of Dracula in it. And then when it did, I was like, I feel like we're setting up stuff that is not explained. The Dark Downstairs this one is fine. It's told storyteller style. So like, we are following someone named Mary Margaret who worked in the Westenra house for Mrs. Westenra and Mina. And she is recounting the events that took place in that house during the section of Dracula where Mina is under attack and Lucy is not, good God, Lucy Westenra. I knew it. I do that all the time. Lucy is under attack, and then this is when Mina is not there. So Lucy is like being fed upon and all that, and we're like following all the events. But this establishes that Dracula had someone on the inside pretending to be a servant, to screw with the household and make it easier for him to get to Lucy. So it's used to explain the laudanum in the alcohol, because remember how when I was reading Dracula, I was like, did he like come in and dose the whiskey, the bourbon, whatever it was? This has that someone else did that for him, which is again possible. He can sway people. Also, he could have just come in and done it himself, because at the beginning of Dracula, the actual book, not this, he is doing his own work because he has no servants. So, I mean, he could have just been invited in, because at some point he had to have been invited in because he's been in the house. So I'm wondering if he like showed up at some point and that's something that Stoker didn't include, or something we're just supposed to assume has happened, or that perhaps Lucy has invited him in, and he has done this while she's been sleeping. We don't know. But it explains, like, it's like all of these people like die, there's very few servants left, and then what happened to the servants after, and like how the servants know vampires are real now. And I was like, oh, I mean, it's interesting, but also like it added a lot of people to the Westenra household that I was like, were those people even there? Like, you can add as many people as you want, but I was like, that's a lot of people to have like suddenly died and no one's concerned. Wouldn't Mrs. Westenra of the poor health be a bit concerned? The next one is Dear Mr. Bernard Shaw. This one follows an actress who is friends, sort of, with Bram Stoker himself, but also Dracula is in this, and he's like trying to woo this woman, and then he keeps referring to the brides as his sisters, and I was like, well, that's strange. And like, it was fine, but it's set up as a letter that doesn't quite feel like a letter. Then we learned the letter was never posted. So like, it was fine, but it's mostly Dracula like trying to woo someone, which he can woo people. It's just normally less personable wooing, if that makes sense. He's normally a bit forceful in the wooing. 3 Boxes is a story being told by Dracula to someone he is kind of holding captive. And we again have him meet a woman who helps him, and then he kind of like assists that woman in exchange for like the work she is doing. But then things take a turn at the end. And like, that one was kind of interesting, but also like, again, I was like, well, he's decided not to whammy her so that she'll do his bidding, but also we keep setting him up with women to like seem like a nice guy for a while, and then he's a jerk. And I'm like, he's not nice. Like, he's Dracula. So it's like throwing me off a little that so many of these, and like Dracula in Bram Stoker's Dracula is a wooing kind of guy. Like, and that's why I'm like, some of these feel more inspired by the movie than the actual book, where Dracula doesn't woo. Like, he convinces Jonathan to assist him, but then he's not like wooing ladies normally. He's like, I'm gonna eat you slowly. Good Help was, is that the last one I read? Good Help was fine. For whatever reason, that one makes Dracula kind of dopey. He trips a lot. He falls a lot. He gets another manservant who puts like postcards or pictures in his coffin and like cleans the chapel. And it ultimately became like Renfield versus this new servant. And it was just goofy. Like, I was like, I don't understand. Like, it just made Dracula seem less scary because he was like having issues like landing when he was like in the air or like walking. And I was like, what is happening? So so far they're fine. I know for a fact that I kept this solely because of the story that I'm thinking of, but I don't know where it is in this book. I just know it has the brides in it. And that's why I kept this book. But I don't know. They're fine so far, but again, the Dracula in them doesn't feel like the Dracula in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, he does take a turn in some of them where like he decides like, well, this isn't worth my time, and he eats, like, he does eat people. That still happens. But overall, I'm like, this is fine. He seems too nice, which is so weird to me to say, but he does. He seems too nice. But yeah, so I'm gonna go. That was a very long update, but I read all of those. I'm gonna try and finish, like, read more of this during lunch. And regardless of whether I finish this or not today, which I could, I will keep the video going through Friday so I can show you us watching the movie and give some thoughts, and I can also take you to the haunt. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna drink some coffee, do work stuff, and I will see you sometime later, gremlins. Hello, gremlins. It is a little ways after work, and while I am wearing the same shirt, I took a shower. I was very cold, and also because I'm getting my hair trimmed tomorrow, I was like, shoot, I have to shower because I wanted my hair to be clean. So I showered very quickly after work. But I did finish Dracula in London. And humorously, as soon as I stopped filming, I was like, oh, I should like see what the next story is, because I like just opened it to see. It's the one I was thinking of. It's the reason I keep this collection around. So Everything to Order by Jodi Lynn Nye is The Brides Go Shopping, and it is wonderful. The brides are ridiculous. There's like 2 very Romanian brides and then one bride who is like British or something. My hair's not doing weird things because it air dried. And it's just so fun. It's literally them buying clothes because they're mad at Dracula for the boat crashing. They've lost all their things. And then one of them's like, well, Magda held on to the jewels, I guess. So, you know, that's what we have going for us. And it's just so funny. Like, they're just pissed at Dracula. And they're like, this is really the only thing he's going to let us do because, you know, he's not like a forgiving man. He's not like a nice guy. But he said we could get stuff. And he owes us this. And they're spending like thousands and thousands of dollars in the late 1800s. Like, I was like, even the saleswoman is like, there's a lot of money. But they also eat someone, kind of. Which is why, for some reason, I thought they brought Lucy with them. But there's just a shop girl who is, like, similarly described to Lucy that they, like, think is cute. And they're basically like, oh, leave her here. She's lovely. But that one is my favorite story. Then the next one was also good. It's called Long-Term Investment. And that's by Chelsea Quinn Yarborough. And I immediately was like, oh, I'm gonna like this one. Because I used to read the Saint Germain series, which is a vampire series following the vampire Saint Germain through time. So he doesn't die. And he has to contend with the fact that, like, he doesn't die. So you follow him. And it's a very interesting series to read because as he cannot die and he does not change, he is, like, the peak of, like, physicality and beauty for, like, in the first book when he's introduced. But as time progresses, people are like, wow, he's short. Which is so funny to me. Also, I was reading those when I was, like, 16 and I accidentally read one with a, like, virgin sacrifice in it. Maybe I wasn't even 16. I don't know. I remember reading it being like, whoa, this is too mature for me. But I read it anyway. But this one is following Edward. And Edward works for, what does he say his name is? It's definitely Dracula. But he goes by Mr. Carfax. And it's a coffin company, but it's coffins full of dirt. Like, it's dirt coffins being delivered. But a bunch of, like, dead women keep popping up. And so the constables are investigating and an inspector comes and is basically like, do you know anything about these dead women? And poor Edward's like, no, why would I know anything about this? I basically sit in this warehouse watching these coffins. And then Dracula, it's basically Dracula, shows up and is like, oh, I'll meet with the inspector. And like, this just like shows how cruel Dracula can be because he basically sets this guy up, like who he's been paying, who he's been employing. He sets him up for everything. He's like, oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I'm so glad I could help the investigation. And I was like, excuse you, sir? Like, I knew it would happen, but I also was like, really? Based on all the stories where they were making him like an altruistic guy, I was like, yeah, this is the Dracula that you're thinking of. He'll pay this guy a lot of money and then be like, ooh, perhaps I have made a mistake. That guy did it. Wasn't me. Didn't eat those women. Totally could not have been me. Even though it definitely was. So after that is Places for Act 2. This one was odd to me. We meet an actor who assists Dracula, and then Dracula winds up acting in The Pirates of Penzance. And this one also had a reference to Mycroft Holmes, which was so bizarre. And so I'm wondering if this guy, so there are a number of books where Mycroft Holmes is like a character. For those of you who may not know, Mycroft Holmes is Sherlock Holmes' older brother. Mycroft Holmes is typically described as a larger man who basically never leaves his home, but is some kind of government and like agent. He does a number of like government things very secretly. And he has the same skills, if not better, than Sherlock. Sherlock actually does say that his brother is more intelligent than him, but Mycroft does not appear as often in the Sherlock Holmes stories. He has been given his own independent stories by non-Sir Arthur Conan Doyle writers. He's been picked up once his character fell into like non-copyright, is it free? I forget what that's called right now. but like you could use him as a character. And there are some writers who have written Mycroft Holmes mysteries that have also written like Sherlock meets Dracula, Mycroft meets Dracula, Dracula and Moriarty. Like all of these exist. So I was like, did this guy write those? And I read his bio and no, but also maybe now he has, I don't know. But in this, like Mycroft randomly appears. Like they just call him Mr. Holmes and he's like, oh, I've heard of you. And he's like, no, that's my deceased brother. And I was like, okay, so you're definitely supposed to be Mycroft post the fall of Reichenbach. Reichenbach falls. Sherlock fell to his death and then was unkilled because people were really mad. But this is not a Sherlock Holmes thing. I used to read Sherlock Holmes all the time. I know a lot of things about Sherlock Holmes, but I will save you. I don't know why he's in this. He like randomly appears. There's an attempt on the Prince of Wales's life and Dracula is an actor. Like I was like, why? Like there's just too many things. Also, the Pirates of Penzance appeared twice and I feel like a nut job because I was like, that's not in the book, right? Did I like miss the Pirates of Penzance is in Dracula? Because it happens twice in here. And I don't understand. I'm so confused. If someone could tell me why, like maybe I missed it while I was reading or I just like blocked it out or it's in a Dracula adaptation I'm unaware of. We also have not rewatched Bram Stoker, so like maybe he does go to Pirates of Penzance in that. But I was just like, why are we talking about Pirates of Penzance so much? Beast. Oh, Beast was odd. There is a young man who has taken some books and has hidden them and somehow managed to hide them in Carfax Abbey. And then Dracula gets pissed at him and then somehow the books like save this kid named Al. And then he winds up bringing a book back that Van Helsing had asked for. And then everything is fine. But also Al is Aleister Crowley. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. Like I just was like, Dracula is in this very briefly, and also I am at a point where like this story is so bizarre. Like I was just like, what? What is happening? After Beast, oh, A Most Electrifying Evening also had Dracula being slightly altruistic and returning a woman's jewels to her, but also Nikola Tesla's in it, and it was like a Nikola Tesla fanfic with Dracula. That's all I will tell you. An Essay on Containment confused me. And was basically it was like 2 pages technically. And it's someone writing about how they need to deal with Dracula basically. And then like, oh, we got Seward to call Van Helsing because of implanted memories. And by call, I mean like write a letter. But I was like, what? It kind of felt like that one where I was like, they're making it sound like there's some kind of council of vampires that I'm unaware of. But there was no info in that. So I was like, but what is happening? Berserker is about the wolf. Really, all you need to know about Berserker is it's about the wolf that gets out of the zoo. And that's that. It's really that and like Dracula connecting to the wolf. Curtain Call, sorry, was very good. So Curtain Call does make reference to theater and Bram Stoker like being involved in the theater and knowing actors. But we're following someone named Charles Fort who learns that Dracula has been brought to life through just the thoughts of people. And it was very interesting because Dracula's like, well, I'm not the only one who can come to life. Everyone from my story came to life. But like, it is frightening because they can't gain as much power. Only Dracula is gaining power from like the spreading of his name, his work, his everything. So like, that was very interesting and reminded me a little bit of, there is a Freddy Krueger plot. I forget which one it's in. Oh, duh! It's in the last one. The one where we're following the actors who have inadvertently brought Freddy to life. It's that plot, but with Dracula. Why can't I remember? Freddy Lives? No. I just know it's... this is gonna bug me. But it's the Freddy Krueger movie where we're in the real world and Freddy is coming to life and attacking everyone from the movies. Then the final one is Renfield or Dining at the Bug House. And this one is the ramblings of Renfield. And it's trying to give us background on Renfield, like why he is how he is or how his mind is so easily fractured. But it's also very difficult to read as it's just like all over the place. Like you're following random thoughts that he is having. Sometimes about bugs, sometimes about being a child, sometimes about his abusive parents. I was just like, what? So like, it was just like it was an odd way to end the collection. Like, if I had my druthers, I would have put Curtain Call last, because you're reading a book about Dracula, which would ultimately be giving Dracula power. I think that would have been a cool way to end it, and having Renfield before that would have worked, or Renfield after that story where I said he like Renfield appeared and then there was like a fight about being Dracula's manservant. But yeah, that is the whole collection. I think that's all of them. I'm just double checking. Yeah, that's all of them. I would say my favorites were Everything to Order, Long-Term Investment, and Curtain Call. Those are my favorite of the entire collection. I am going to keep it around. I marked them. I would reread those again. But that is it for books in this vlog. I'm not going to read any more Dracula themed books at this point. I will say, so in rereading Dracula, I was trying to remember, I did the audio for Lucy Undying, so I can't reference it as easily. Lucy Undying is like Lucy Westenra. It's a story of Lucy Westenra set in the present, and also like making a whole new like vampire thing with Lucy established in it. And parts of that set up that Lucy was in love with Mina. And well, I was thinking about that while I was reading Dracula. And I'm not saying it's a sapphic retelling, and a number of people have really liked it. I thought it was fine. Something about it just like didn't quite work for me, because I have read a lot of sapphic vampire books, and that one just like didn't hit for me. I will say, while reading that, there is a reference to like Mina being a school teacher, but in that one they make it seem like Mina was Lucy's school teacher, and like upon reading Dracula again, I was like, I was right. I don't think she was Mina's like tutor or teacher. Like they were just friends. So like I randomly was thinking about that during all of this. I was like, and that's not saying anything about that. It just like that popped into my head because I was thinking about like the Dracula plot and how it ties into Lucy Undying. Now she can take liberties in that one because she does say like, oh, I'm not dead. Like everything in that book is a lie. Like I was not killed, which is interesting. There are also adaptations where Mina is a vampire. Like she is not saved by the death of Dracula. She still turns, or like sometimes Dracula doesn't die either and she like is hunting him. There are a lot of adaptations about the women, primarily Mina normally. And if you ever saw League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Mina is in that as a vampire, and she's like, yes, I think in that one, and that's in a comic book, because League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is also a series of comics, but in the movie, I believe she says she was turned and Dracula killed Jonathan. I think it's been a minute, but I remember the actress who played her was very cool, and I like really loved the character design, like her wardrobe and stuff was awesome. But yeah, that is it for books. We are still watching Bram Stoker's Dracula, and perhaps I will get my Pirates of Penzance question answered, but you're gonna have to hold on for that. So I will be back, Gremlins, when we have our movie night, and I will share thoughts on the movie and what Krista thinks when we have watched it. But I'll probably show like snacks, drinks, whatever we decide to do for that movie. But I will see you at movie night, Gremlins. Hello, you can't see me because it's light behind me. I'm a great videographer. That's Emma. This is the room. I told you you'd see the room. Behold the room. Hi, more room. Can you see Frank? No, that's the doctor. But yeah, I said I would bring you today. You get to see my final weekend. You get to, close up of Frank, and then you're going back in the bag for safety because I don't trust people who come through here. That's Frank. That's a bathtub.
Baby.
Yes, there's a head in there. All right, you're going back in my bag. I'll talk to you later. No, I have not watched Bram Stoker's Dracula. Krista was tired and I took a nap. But I will, I promise. Okay, bye. Please enjoy the bed. Hello, Gremlins. It is officially Bram Stoker's Dracula night. Krista is finishing up a fantasy football video about stuff. But I wanted to show you what we're eating. So food is incoming. It's not a particularly healthy dinner, but it's what I made. So, please behold. We're gonna pivot you awkwardly. This is the food. I made spooky nuggets. There are ghosts. There are pumpkins. There's a little bat. And potato skins. I acknowledge, not the world's like healthiest meal, but I thought it would be fun. And then I am also drinking, pivoting again. You briefly saw Krista. Sorry, my nose has been running all day. I think I caught like a bug at the haunted house. I was exhausted yesterday, like I slept and barely did anything. Admittedly, almost everyone working the haunted house did say that they were either around a sick person or were themselves sick during the time they were working there, so there was no way I wasn't getting sick. Oh my gosh, my battery is dying. That's inconvenient for all of us. But I'm having a little bit of wine. You can't really see it. It's Witch's Brew wine. It's the red kind. It's the standard one. It's very, very good. But I guess I'm gonna charge you while we're watching the movie so that I can talk to you after with Krista. So be ready for Bram Stoker's Dracula. Hello, gremlins. Yes, I'm flushed from the wine, but we've watched Bram Stoker's Dracula, sort of. So we started watching the movie, and I then realized that I have only seen this film maybe twice. Pros. Soundtrack, incredible. Costuming, very good. Film itself is such a bizarre adaptation of the book that I was like yelling out inconsistencies to Krista. So like, obviously, if you haven't seen the film, you should know that in this, the like whole point is Dracula's love, Elisabetta, commits suicide. And then we learn that Mina Murray is the reincarnation of her. And he will do anything in his power to have sex with that woman. Even if that means having sex with her best friend first. There's just like a lot of boob the whole movie. Like I'm pretty sure Francis Ford Coppola was just like, vampires are sexy, right? Ladies, no tops. Because the brides are topless. The brides also somehow have Jonathan Harker for many weeks. Many weeks. Not in the book. And Krista was like, wouldn't he be a vampire at this point? And I was like, yeah. Based on the entire book, they would have made him a vampire because he's not supposed to be with them for weeks. Like, that didn't make sense. Mina and Lucy kiss, which I'm sure was just because Francis Ford Coppola wanted them to, because that doesn't happen in the book either. Though I'm sure Lucy undying Kirsten White appreciated that moment.
They sleep in the same bed.
They do sleep in the same bed. And both of them, again, consistently show... Winona Ryder is not actually topless unless we fast forwarded through that scene.
We fast forwarded it through.
Yeah, she and Dracula have sex.
Did her shirt to
seduce
Van Helsing.
Yes.
And they started going at it.
Yep. So basically all women in this are turned into sex objects.
Kira.
Stop licking. Stop. Stop.
Pizza the Hut. Stop it.
So, yeah, and like, the asylum is weird. The asylum has a very, like, the Panopticon vibe to it. Almost like there are people with boxes on their heads who are supposed to be the guards, and it seemed almost like the inspiration from 13 Ghosts, which was bizarre. What? Like, everything was just weird. John Seward was on drugs. The head of the asylum, just on drugs. They made Renfield a lawyer, which I knew happened in some adaptation, and it was this one. But yeah, it was just odd. But this does reiterate for me that people who wrote those short stories were more influenced by Gary Oldman's Dracula than by Bram Stoker's, because Gary Oldman's Dracula can feel love, and the one in Bram Stoker's does not give a fuck about love. He would much rather just take your woman, destroy her, send her soul to hell, and go about his day. So if you're going to watch a weird adaptation of Dracula, I'm just going to tell you to watch Van Helsing. Because you know what? That Dracula also feels no love. And is a jerk. And informs his brides. He doesn't love them. At all. A couple times. So, I would just say, if you're going to watch a weird adaptation, just watch that one, because it's completely inaccurate, as opposed to a pseudo attempt at accuracy, I guess. It was just weird. There's a lot of sex for a book that has not any sex in it. So, yeah. Yeah, we basically abridged it and, like, fast forwarded through scenes that I was like, this is just sex. Or this is just animals, because Bruni was going to bark at them. But yeah, it just like, I love the soundtrack. I own the soundtrack, but like, Gesundheit! Kira keeps sneezing. But yeah, the movie was not what I remembered, and really just felt like a very odd fever dream of Dracula. Like, I just don't know why so many liberties were taken with the plot. I just don't understand. But that's the end of this vlog. So I'm sorry that I made you wait for us to watch this movie for then me to be like, why did we watch this movie? And I know people love this movie. The costuming is great. The music's great. And I guess if you haven't, like, ever read the book or don't care about like, I mean, I love Van Helsing, but I know that that's a complete bastardization of the source material. But like, this is weird to me because you have Bram Stoker before Dracula, and I know in part that's because they needed to differentiate the title from like the existing Dracula. But like, it's so strange to me that this one is so much about like Dracula being in love, when I'm like, he doesn't feel love. He's dead. Like, he has no heart. Like, he has a physical heart because you stake it, but like, he doesn't love. He cannot love. And I'm just like, this whole thing is about him being in love. And I'm like, this is so weird to me. But yeah, so that is it. I have to edit this video now and get it published. Give me your Bram Stoker's Dracula thoughts, because I'm sure, I know people love this movie. I know they do. And I know that I have watched it, but I'm just like, why? Why is this so different? Like, why did you do this? Why is it ridiculous? And why do no women get to wear tops? Like, they're just boobs out all the time. Also, there's like a Kama Sutra joke in which Lucy and Mina are looking at Arabian Nights, and it's definitely supposed to secretly be the Kama Sutra. And I was just like, what is happening? Why? What? Anyway, so that is it. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. I've probably just bashed your favorite movie, and I'm so very sorry. You can bash my favorite movies. That's totally fine. I understand. I just, hey, kid, stop. Stop. But yes, so that is it. I think I covered everything. I am counting this as a Halloween-A-Thon vlog because I was going to read this for Halloween-A-Thon, but I replaced it because it's such a long book. So yeah, I'm gonna go. It is football time, actually, so Krista is going to watch football, and I am going to read Matilda because I picked it up at the book sale. So that's what I'm gonna do and put on pajamas. But, ooh, really quick, cute sweatshirt for my sister, also Akira. Hello. All right. But I think that's everything. Did I say the Instagram part? Cliff Glover after. I think that's it. All right. I'm sorry if you love Bram Stoker's Dracula and I basically just said it's horrible. I'm so sorry. But also, like, why? Why is it so weird? Why? Why is it weird? Krista really didn't like it, and I basically was like, I'm so sorry we're watching this at the 30-minute mark. And then I just started fast forwarding through stuff. We watched the important parts, the parts that didn't involve sex. Or there's not a lot of those, actually. Without the sex in it, I think the movie is about 30 minutes long. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna start harping on it. I think that's everything. I will see you in the next one, Gremlins. Kira says bye.